takes out Ignar. Exile in the middle looking for Hansama here. Does he have it? He does! The double kill! The shockwave! It pulls him in!
Ezúttal a rajongóink támogatásával az oldalunkon sikerülni fog.
In Misfits bin ich mir sicher, kann ich dies tun.
Now he's going in for Ignite. Ignar on his dead!
Wir haben letzten Split bewiesen, dass wir zu den Besten gehören. Det var ett tag sedan vi var kungen av Europa. Vi måste visa hur starka vi är.
It's clean, it's confident to lock in third place here in the LCS and take the first step on their path to World.
And welcome to the final series of the Spring Split. First gets hold where he stands. There's a Chachi, gets another. Ushering in the Super Dominions. Here come the Unicorns with their backs against the wall. With no more room for error. We get their first win in the Spring Final.
Csoport elsők lettünk, és bejutottunk a döntőbe. Nagyon közel volt.
Diesen Split werden wir gewinnen.
Mert ez a mi szezonunk.
G2 har vunnit tillräckligt mycket. Det är dags för oss att visa vad vi går för.
What a hell of a fight to close it out. It's all Nexus. GG boys, 2-1.
Good afternoon and welcome to the start of the EU LCS Summer Split. Today, 4 of the top teams from Spring, they start their fight for glory on the stage in Berlin and beyond, because this is it. We are in the Summer Split. That means we are looking towards the World Championship, and which of our teams will be able to make it there? That is the big question. Will it be Splyce? They made it last year, but they have a big task ahead of them. And H2K, they had a fantastic run, but they have to go through a very good Summer Split to make it. As Odoamne is playing around a bit with the decor, looking how everything looks. Hello everyone, rather. I'm Ify Shogazapordra, kicking off the Summer Split alongside Andrew Day and James Stress O'Leary.
And we don't suck anymore. We as a region have proved to the world that we are great once more, and Europe is awesome.
Anymore. 2 years back-to-back semi-finals at Worlds.
Yeah, but we had a rough year, and now we're back. We're great. Welcome, everyone. It's the Summer Split.
Super overblown, but I like it. A lot has changed since we last were here in the LCS studio. Teams has been up to a lot, and especially, as you mentioned, G2, they traveled to Brazil to play at MSI. A rough start, and they had a mission there. They wanted to show everyone that they were the real deal, and they showed it in the end.
I think this is a G2 that the entirety of Europe can be proud of. Taking a competitive series against 3-time world champions SKT, even winning a game, is the kind of performance that we haven't seen out of G2 in such a long time.
No, and looking at some of the individuals that really stepped up at that tournament. Perks, he brought it to Faker. He showed the world that he can match with some of the best. And Trick, while he struggled in the group stages, he was able to perform out of his mind when it came to the bracket stages. So G2, they really stepped up when it counted.
And also just the mental aspect of turning that kind of fan favoritism in their favor maybe for the first time. And it also made all the other teams think. We saw a couple of teams going for a Korean boot camp, couple of teams making some crucial individual changes to the lineups because the heat is on. This is it. They all want to make it to Worlds.
Well, with the performances of G2, everyone now realizes we have to play against one of the best teams in the world. We have to step up our game. And it has now come to a point where teams have to step up coming right into the start of the split. And it feels like with the Korean boot camps, with the preparations that we've been hearing about the teams doing, I think this is going to be a highly competitive split right off the get-go.
And I like that it's not even just behind the scenes. When you look at player changes, we only had 3 roster changes from the teams that stayed from spring to summer. And that's one of the lowest we've really ever had. You can see the 3 players going to their new teams on the screen there, but that's a lot less movement between the old teams. So maybe a team like H2K will look a lot more consistent with this additional experience with another split with their same lineup.
Yeah, that's a great point. A lot of teams opting for that one-year plan, as we heard for the Misfits, but a lot of teams are looking at it that way. And on top of that, the teams will be playing on patch 7.10, which brings a lot of changes to the Rift, obviously, well, mainly in that top side of the of Summoner's Rift. So what are we excited about, and how excited are you?
We're very excited for more tanks. No, that's not the only change that we have on the top side. Sejuani, Zach, and Marika, they've all had some big changes coming into the new split. Zach and Sejuani in particular, we've already seen come out over in the LCK, but it just adds more to the diversity of top lane right now, with new itemization coming out, with preferential picks being really the flavor of the month. It adds so much variation that I think this will be one of the most versatile top lane metas that we've seen for a very long time.
Other changes as well, not just champions, items, the Rift itself in top lane. If you haven't had a chance to play against the new Rift Herald, no longer does she give you a 20-minute buff that is about side lane 1v1ing. This time, Rift Herald, she is a sieging machine. You get an item, spawns her into the lane, and she'll charge down a tower. And now this might open up the Rift a lot earlier than we've seen in patches gone by. A lot of room for extra strategic play. We're looking at what teams are going to be able to utilize Rift Herald best.
Super interesting. On top of that, Xayah and Rakan, they are also enabled, so I hope we'll be seeing that. We saw the duo in action from Jinner a little while ago. And tell me about Yasuo. Are we going to see him?
Yasuo, of course. I'm really excited. We have to see him soon, though, because changes have come on 7-11. But Perks promised us that he would play it, and if he wants to get revenge against Roccat, maybe that's the champion to do it with.
Do you want to put on a wig and
I do not want to put on the wig once more.
Okay. All right. Anyway, of course, there are also a lot of other changes in the mid-season patches. So for the full breakdown, go ahead and check out leagueoflegends.com and read up on that. And also last week, our teams here decided their group opponents, and these are the results are very similar to what we saw in the spring split. The only difference is that the Unicorns of Love and G2 now got first pick.
We heard Dracos a little bit before the show breaking down the draft. Of course, Unicorns now the changing Group B. They had the first pick. G2 Unicorns were the captains of the groups. G2 saying, hey, we want to avoid H2K for the majority of the regular split. Unicorns saying, okay, have Fnatic. These two teams, everybody's expecting good things out of. And we filtered down in a snake draft for the rest of the group draw.
And it's interesting how the priority has shifted, right? Because in the spring, we saw a lot more prioritization on getting UOL out and also getting out Misfits, given the initial rosters that we saw. But based on the performance of Fnatic, especially finishing 3rd place during the regular, or overall throughout the spring split, we demonstrate that, you know what? We don't want him in our groups, G2. You guys can have him over in Group A.
Yep, we'll see how that plays out because we also have 2 new teams. First up, the German organization Mysterious Monkeys, and then the very storied Ninjas in Pajamas are back as well. So they're slotting in where Giants and Origin were, respectively. How do we think this will influence kind of the competitiveness of each group and the league overall?
I think that this is actually very good in terms of the competitiveness, because I think that these 2 teams are a step up from what we had from Giants and Origin. And for those that don't know, Mysterious Monkeys, they did acquire the Misfits Academy roster. Still pretty much the same, except for the jungler who they brought in with Llama Bear. Whereas NIP, they have a brand new roster, and the core player that we're looking at is up in the top lane.
There is a really exciting player in the top lane for NIP. Prophet, of course, former SKT player. That is a lineage to live up to. So if he's given the right kind of basis with NIP's roster, maybe that's a player we can look to be a real standout. But there are a lot of questions for both new rosters, whether they can live up to some of the hype, be another challenger team that goes right to the top of a group. So many questions. We're going to find out when they play on Saturday. That's when they take to the Rift for the first time.
That we will. Those new teams, they will be playing a bit later in the week. But first up, our very first match will be H2K taking on Splyce, followed by a rematch of the 3rd place decider of Spring Fnatic versus Misfits.
And then a hype matchup to begin tomorrow. Roccat versus G2. G2 take on the only team to hand them a series loss in over a year. And this is a weakened G2. Remember, Expect and Trick are not playing. They were granted time to go visit their families. So we'll have to see how G2 contend with 3 out of their 5 core players.
All right. Well, we're going to go over to our caster soon. Anything else you want to add? Anything you need to get out there before we really get started?
Get hyped! It's going to be a great summer split with some great teams.
All right, cool. Well, there we go. We are just moments away from our first game, so let's send it over to our casters and kick off the EULCS Summer Split.
Thank you very much, Sharks. I'm very hyped.
It's very loud. It's very loud.
Welcome back to Berlin. I'm Trevor Quickshot Henry, joined by Martin Fischer Lunge. He's already telling me to stop yelling.
I am not telling you to stop yelling. I'm saying you're very loud. And I think we need a slow game and just like a slow
We
cast.
do not need
No?
that
No?
because the
Okay.
wait is over and we're ready for a new split here in the European LCS. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join us in welcoming our combatants today to start off summer. Starting on the blue side, it's H2K. In the top lane, Onowane. In the jungle, Yankos. Better catch up there, buddy. Mid lane, of course it's going to be Fatovin. AD carry returning to the stage, Nuclear. And his support is going to be Che. And of course, the coach once more for H2K, Neil Prolly Hammond. H2K Gaming on the blue side for this best of three. Their opponents starting on the red side. It is, of course, the snake in the grass, Splyce. Please introduce Wonder in the top lane. Of course, you got to keep it cool, Wonder. Roaming from the jungle, ganking for his lane is Trashy. Mid laner, the Cooks himself, Sencooks. AD carry, Cobby. Support, Mickey. And making his debut on the LCS stage, please welcome Coach Jeevis.
Who will be America's next top model?
Well, you're going to have to answer that question.
I'm going for Cobby straight away.
Going for Cobby straight away. Cobby's got a new coach behind him. Jeevis, of course, coming over from CBLOL, where he was pretty successful. What do you think of this change? You know, support staff changes actually on both sides. New analysts on the side of H2K supporting out Prolly in the background, and of course, obviously, the coach swap for Splyce.
Yeah, I mean, Splyce said in the announcement, also in the AMA they had on Reddit, that, you know, with the Yamato cannon, they kind of hit a wall. They weren't really improving any further, so they wanted to make a change. And obviously, we have to respect that. And I think bringing a new coach but keeping the same players actually makes a lot of sense, because you don't really point or look at a weak link on the side of Splyce. You feel like these guys all play well together. And if now the new coach can actually help them take it to the next step, they once again become one of the top teams in Europe.
Yeah, I caught up a little bit with the team manager for Splyce earlier today, talking about Jeevis, and he was talking about how Jeevis's work ethic and his ability to take a team in the CBLOL from near relegation to actually playoffs, and the work ethic that he brings to the team is something that he feels will be revitalizing for Splyce in summer. So we need to keep a close eye on how the team performs, because both of these teams, there's expectation on them. They've kept the same 5 players on both sides. They're developing. We saw some great growth at times in the spring split, and I'm very excited to see, looking forward, as we got a new meta, new patch, new champions.
So, certain champions are considered very strong right now here in 7.10. Zac is one of them. Xayah is another one here in Europe that the players are talking a lot about. Syndra is still considered one of the absolute best mid laners. And there's a different, like, there's a few S-tier picks, but then there's also a lot of picks that are very good, but you don't have to like ban them or pick them every time. It actually depends on now comfort from a lot of these guys. A lot of diversity in the current meta. Mentioned Xayah, she's already removed right now. Zac is the other one, and they will be red side bans in a lot of our games.
All right, we'll see if anyone's willing to let them go through later in the day. For today, not the case. Sejuani, is it ban-worthy? Is it pick-worthy? It's one of those other picks that we're seeing in the top lane a lot.
Not ban-worthy. We won't see her pick that often either. We did see over in LCK up top lane from MVP. Kind of lackluster performance. Bansi from H2K putting a lot of respect towards Sencooks and some of these picks that we don't always see too much. Aurelion Sol, and of course, Cassidy, who's back in the meta.
And of course, for Sencooks, he's a mid laner who's had champions targeted against him that haven't been demonstrated on stage. A lot of respect for his champion pool. Another mid laner remove LeBlanc. So H2K, where do they go?
Well, we have things like Lee Sin available, considered the best available jungler at this point here, but Trashy can obviously pick it himself. I think H2K will maybe be okay with that. Trashy's never been like a super dominant Lee Sin player. Caitlyn is actually quite surprising. A lot of AD carries at the moment are fairly even. Like Varus was a mix of Ashe and Varus. So Ashe and Varus and Caitlyn, all three considered kind of the same tier. Clearly for H2K though, they value it so high for Nuclear they grab it as a first pick and give away one of the preferred jungle choices. As we said, Trashy's not the biggest Lee Sin player. He gets his Elise instead.
Yeah, big comfort on that Elise. Something that Trashy has played several times this year already. 8 games played, 4 wins, 4 losses. H2K now have to respond to this next rotation.
I'd like to see Thresh come in as support. It's huge over in the LCK, and it's very good against Lulu after she also lost like 50 base HP early on. Like, you can all in her very easily. But depends on, of course, Che if he wants to actually play it. I would love to see it here with Caitlyn. I think it's going to get banned away if he doesn't actually pick it in this rotation here.
All right, let's find out if it's going to be the case. There's the hover. And there we go. Crystal ball on point.
We like it. We like it. We want to see it. On
Ding!
Splyce. That one died last split. It died last split, but it's fine. It's a new split. We can use the same jokes once again in case someone didn't watch our cast in this spring split.
What's the next one, Deficio?
Ooh, now you have so many choices, because either you go mid lane and then ban 2 mid laners out to give Senkooks a really good matchup, like Talia could be one of them, or you just match one of the current roles. And Splyce, they're boring, so they log in Varus and say,
match the role,
match it.
Don't run the risk of having maybe Ashvar's banned away.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
So safe options on that side. This Gragas, will this be Jankos' Gragas? We've seen it in the jungle over in LCK.
I think Gragas is the safest nature, as you just highlighted. Yes, he can go into the jungle. One of the good reasons, or one of the good things about picking him early on. So now, of course, Lee Sin, as we mentioned much earlier, will get removed because Splyce have picked their jungler, and H2K has maybe not picked theirs.
All right, we'll find out in a few seconds' time. H2K got a phase 2 ban, and it is going to be the Talia once again, hitting Senkooks' champion pool. Now, just to remind everybody, this is patch 7.10, not 7.11 that just dropped on live.
And this Talia ban is why I mentioned her before. I think it makes a lot of sense for Splyce to take the Varus so they don't lose, as you highlighted, Varus and Ashe, and you kind of lose all the top tier 80 carries at the same time. But I think Talia ban here is really good from H2K, because H2K is a team that does not like to play against really fast comps with a lot of roaming. H2K always wants to keep it fairly steady, where they feel in control. And things like Talia and Aurelion Sol can really mess up your day.
Yeah, there we go. Both of them on the ban pool. H2K, 1 ban left. Will the Cooks have another champion removed? I'm looking at the top laners available, and there's a lot.
I was about to highlight Lucian, by the way, as the remaining mid lane choice we could see in this game here, because Elise is already picked, adding magic damage. But H2K also saw the same thing and banned away the Lucian, so mid lane getting squeezed big time. Like, we're looking at things suddenly like Ahri as fairly high priority. Orianna is another one. I actually like the Orianna pick here. Makes it a little bit harder for Ahri to lane in the early game if that is the pick coming in from H2K. Karma mid is also open if you want to play it. You have already Caitlyn, so buffing up, the team with Karma mid can work.
And give Odoamne maybe a Rumble top. That could be exciting. We'll find out if H2K want to do that. What I do like about Splyce, though, counter pick for Wonder in the top lane, with a wealth of carries available, with AD items being so great, and Wonder being probably the best performing Splyce member towards the end of spring. I really want to see what he's going to bring to the table in the debut of summer. H2K, they've locked in the Victor, so it's Control Mage versus Control Mage, and we'll find out where this Gragas is going.
Yeah, so we know, obviously, if it is going to be the jungle login, that Gragas goes to top, meaning that if you want to play carry, you can actually do that on the side of Splyce, and things like Jace is available, Kled, Fiora even is a pick that we hear a lot about. The thing about Gragas is he can actually match the early game against a lot of these guys. Jarvan, we've seen him in LCK already. And I think I want to see a carry from Wonder, because he's the man that play around. And yes, Gragas is doing the laning phase. There we go. We get it early.
Demacia calls and Wonder answers. So J4 top, first time in summer split here, EULCS. What do you think of the team comp from Splyce?
I think Splyce team comp makes a lot of sense with their synergy and actually really good lanes they build as well, combined with an early game jungler that can gank. Like, look at it also, once you get out of the laning phase, Varus ulti, Orianna ball onto a Jarvan, like, the wombo combo is there. And it's super, super strong in a team fight if you actually nail the engage, which is the key part. You gotta nail the engage. Then you can do your wombo combo. H2K, on the other hand, also saying, you know what, like team fighting? Yeah, sure. We got a tank, we got a scaling jungler, we got a scaling mid lane, we got a scaling AD carry. Like, this might be one of those games where once we get to the late game, we have these massive big team fights where it just depends on who actually plays them the best.
All right, whether or not Splyce can find the engage, or if H2K can use some of their tools for disengage. Potential is there, but I like both teams' drafts right out of the gate as the coaches shake hands for the first time here in summer. Crowley and Jeeves. Jeeves, the new coach for Splyce. What has he done with the Splyce boys in the off-season?
Well, first draft from him was definitely very interesting, but also very good at the same time. Liked a lot of the answers, and I love the fact that despite getting so many mid-lane bans, they still get an A-tier pick in Orianna for Sincooks.
Well, there we go. Such a lot of pressure on that mid lane. H2K loading up onto the Rift to take on Splyce. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the first best of 3 in the European LCS Summer Split. All right, we're loading up onto the Rift. Okay, so reminder once again, it is patch 7.10. And on patch 7.9.7.10, the mid-season update, one of the most exciting changes in laning phase was the Doran Shield.
Very exciting, I agree.
And why is it exciting, Deficio? Because this item just redefined the lane. It actually did change the lane quite a lot.
Oh yeah, Doran Shield was meta changing, 100%. Because it allows these AD carries and even certain top laners to get an early item where now it costs 400 gold, so you get 2 potions, not just one like with Doran's Blade. And at the same time, the health regen when you take damage on it is pretty massive early on. So it's actually very easy to stay healthy. H2K trying to make a little sneaky move around the mid lane.
30 seconds.
Ooh, sneaky peeky like. H2K going for the invade. Doesn't look like any shenanigans will happen. There's the stats for the Doran Shield that we've talked about. Both Nuclear and Cobby have started with the Doran Shield.
Yeah.
All about that sustain.
So again, important things. 400 gold, so you can buy 2 potions. And down the bottom, the unique passive, where you regain HP over 10 seconds after you take damage from a champion. So obviously, some of these laners who like to just give a few auto attacks to each other and then back to farming minions, well, those few auto attacks will actually now proc this passive, and you can get some HP back and stay very healthy. You can still get all in though, and that is worth highlighting because the HP is the same as the Doran's Blade, 80.
All right, let's take a look at how well these guys farm up and how well they sustain. I'm looking down the summoner spells. The Cooks has got himself Ghost and Flash. Febiven, on the other hand, got his hands onto Cleanse. And nothing else too exciting to report.
And you know Febby is already complaining that just because of the enemy jungler, he has to pick Cleanse, which actually hurts his laning phase. And that's a thing in Europe. Mid laners will always find something to complain about. Bot lane trading, and now again, remember, the Doran's Shield here means that poking lanes are worse, but all-in lanes are still just fine. That's one of the reasons Thresh is back in the meta, because his AD carry was still healthy with the Doran Shield, and then he can enable the all-in.
And of course, Lulu, as you've already mentioned, Deficio, taking a little bit of a nerf to the HP pool. If Mickey missteps, gets caught by a death sentence, well, maybe he's going to be sentenced to death.
I mean, you can see offensive summoners from both supports. Jay can definitely all-in on Mickey once he gets a few levels. Level 2, it might be enough to actually force a summoner.
Right.
Splyce, and the camera is still down here. They get level 2. Sadly, Splyce's bot lane, they have played before, and they realize, let's just step away. It's almost like they're professionals.
They did the right thing. We take a quick look in the mid lane. Sincooks is shoving into Febiven. Big wave for Febby to secure here, even on CS. But this is the exciting one for me. Jarvan in the top lane, thanks to the mid-season patch. Some changes to the meta and itemization.
Yep.
Why are we seeing Jarvan all of a sudden?
First of all, physical. Wait. That's
death sentence. Flay. Mickey gets the shield up. Look at the return damage from Cobby. Che takes the Thunderlords to the face, and he's forced to back away.
Always a sad thing when you trade on the enemy support. You kind of leave the enemy AD carry on his own, and he can hit you back. But Jarvan top lane, like, physical damage carries or bruisers, they love this patch because there's so many good items for them now. Like things like Death's Dance was buffed as an example. Black Cleaver's always been good for them. Triforce is in a good spot. Blade of King. Like, I can keep going with like tons of different items that are good for a lot of different champions. Titanic Hydra, Ravenous Hydra. Like, there are so many good ones. Even Guardian Angel now is an item that gives attack damage, which means a lot of these physical damage bruisers, they're going to show up in this meta. Jarvan is one of them. We've already seen a bit before because his skirmish is fantastic. But they need to enable the skirmish. Trashy will lose his big one.
Yeah, loses the Krug. Jankos dashes in. Going to be fighting over the little mini Krugs though. Jankos and Trashy off to the side. If Wonder and Odo wanted to join the party, they could, but it doesn't seem to be the case right now.
No, important note about Jarvan is you don't pick him to stomp your lane super easily against things like the Gragas. Like, you accept to farm. But then once you hit level 6, you get your ulti. You look around the map and you say, okay, are there any champions here, Trevor? Any champions that doesn't have like a, a dash or jump? I see.
Do you think maybe Featherman?
Maybe Featherman could be one. So suddenly Jarvan ulti, if he can actually leave his lane and roam down and join one of these 2v2 fights, 3v3 fights, his burst damage and his ulti to just keep someone in place, that is such a good way to force fights in the mid game. That's where I really think Jarvan shines right now.
Fights in the mid game with an Elise, with a Varus, with a Lulu. Splyce have got some tools in their kit. I want to see how that pans out. Odo's already TP'd back to lane, as has Wonder. Double longswords versus triple Doran's rings. That hasn't changed for your AP top laner.
It's funny, because right now, coming into the summer split, like, a lot has changed and a lot has stayed the same. Because we still see a lot of the
Great
same
statement, Deficio.
It's true. Again, we've talked about this, Trevor. It's about making statements no one can disagree with. Because we have a new meta, but we still have a lot of the same picks. And a lot of the old builds as well, like triple Dorans, which is still not very exciting.
Ooh.
What's happening?
Shay's going to curve the bullet there. Connects onto Cobby, but as Nuclear's turned into a munchkin, he actually takes a lot of trade. Felt like a little bit of misconnection there. 90 caliber net, not using the lantern to safety.
Jankos.
Jankos is in trouble. No support from the mid lane. First blood picked up by Trashy.
That was almost too easy for Trashy and Tencooks right now, finding Jankos deep inside the jungle. Bot lane wasn't pushing in favor of H2K. I don't think he actually knew where Trashy were in the map. This is just going to be a push the wave and go back to base ulti from Febby. Actually, no, wow.
Gets the flash from Senkux. That death rate does so much damage.
Yeah, and also Senkux didn't manage to get any sort of sidestep down on the laser. Took a lot of damage for it, and also no flash now. That's actually very surprising, because Febby was more or less just like, I'm going to push out this lane and go back to base. And he just got a flash for it as well. So Jankos doesn't spot Elise with this ward. We'll see her straight away right after as he steps.
And of course, Senkux just placed the ward as Jankos walks past.
He sees Elise right there, and just kind of realizes he's actually in too deep.
Is this disappointed dad Deficio levels of invade?
It's week 1.
Week 1?
We're positive.
Okay, right.
He got one of the wolf camps,
He
right?
did.
He did kill one of them, right?
There we go.
He killed one of them.
He got the big wolf. Denied that one from Splyce. So with first blood under Trashy's belt, plus 1,000 gold.
Chase around mid. Sneaking around. No flash from Senkux, but he's not even here. So.
Nope. Where is the Cooks going? He's still backed away.
He's going mid lane.
Finish the recall.
The meta hasn't changed that much.
Mickey and Shay just holding hands on the roam.
We're not swapping supports to mid lane, and mid lane is down to support the AD carries just yet.
No, not yet at all.
In the future. Jankos though is a man we want to follow this split. Funny enough, like almost every single split. I think last split, in the early game, we didn't see the same like first blood rate from a Jankos, but we did see a lot of early plays from him. He was very active as always. Early invades like this one, I don't feel like we saw that many mistakes like the one we just saw here before. Obviously, it was just a one-off for now.
Yeah. And of course, first game back, first game on stage. All the teams feeling a little bit anxious. It was quite fun in the makeup room before the game started today as H2K and Splyce came in, and a lot of nervous, excited energy. Getting ready to play new patch.
Actually, I think he only killed a small wolf
split.
before.
Oh, you see.
Still,
okay.
I mean...
Still worth. He got the wolf, dude.
Yeah, got
He's
a small
denied
wolf.
it from Trashy, and there's a little bit of an invade. This time, Jankos has got support.
Yes.
Got Cheyenne from the background. Mickey finds Nuclear. 90 caliber net goes back, and Cobby misses the skill shot that misses the most. Chain of corruption. Nuclear was able to 90 caliber away, and it looks like Jankos steals the blue. So successful invade for H2K.
Learned from last time, didn't go as deep, and also had his bot lane moving with him, and Febiven coming down to that blue buff. Good steal awake. Important, because you want to make sure Victor gets the push advantage mid.
And I'm going to go back to that Jankos point, because Jankos has been more proactive on the map. He got punished for it. But again, this is one of the leaders of H2K. One of the guys who often has very good early game stats. You were talking about his first blood participation being lower. For Jankos, the first blood king has to reclaim the title. But his kills plus assists at 15 minutes, very, very high. Kill participation, struggling a little bit in that regard. Often when you're not getting first blood early on, it helps. Doesn't help.
Kills assist though, that is a key thing, because H2K has always kind of relied on him early on when it came to like forcing any sort of plays and early pushes on towers, which has always been the story with Jankos. And it's actually fun now because he's become quite the veteran in the EU LCS. Like, he's been here since 2014, Season 4, when he joined as Rocket. And he's been here ever since. And it still feels like every split you go in, you're like, oh, I want to see what Jankos can do this time around.
Well, look what Jankos is going to do in the top lane. Coming in to jump onto Wonder. Explosive cast comes down. Cataclysm to flash, followed by Jankos with the slide and glide. Wonder manages to escape with his life. Jankos takes a lot of damage for his trouble.
So Jankos now with another good play. This time on the top side here. I actually like the play from Wonder as well with the ulti to flash out. Stops also, you gotta keep in mind, the Graves Q when he just fired into a wall. And Wonder managed to flash away and stay alive, but him losing flash and ulti is big.
Great death sentence. Unfortunately, the Caitlyn trap didn't work. Look at the damage onto Nuclear. Flash for Auto. Cobby and Mickey win the 2v2.
And we said this before, you know, when you go for the support, the AD carry is just kind of standing there next to you, actually hitting you in the face. Nuclear had a terrible trap placement.
Yep.
It wasn't even close. He stepped forward, put down the trap, took damage in return from Cobby, and then realized, wait a minute, I'm actually standing here still taking damage from this Varus, and he just went down 2v2. Splyce with 2 free kills in the early game.
And that means they've got a 1,500 gold lead. Trashy could set up something with Wonder. There's no Cataclysm available, but there's still a knock-up if Wonder can get the flag combo down. And Odo Omne with an early respect flash. We jump to the mid lane once again. Feathervin pushing forward, trading ults for ults. Senkux is able to get away thanks to that move speed on his W, and just ends up being a trade of spells.
Very important over Splyce getting some of these early kills. The composition, as we talked about, great, you know, at forcing fights once we get out of this laning phase here. We even see this roam towards mid we talked about earlier, Trevor.
Yeah.
Obviously, Victor will need to flash to Java and ulti, and then you can return gank it right after.
Well, this Cataclysm is still on cooldown. It's going to take another 10 or 15 seconds before we get to it. And it looks like it's actually going to be returned to the top, because remember, Odo, his flash was denied. Observers highlighting this ward. The vision is blocked. Obviously, you kill that ward, you reveal where you are. Trashy's not going to be lingering. He's backed away. As we catch a glimpse of the new Rift Herald. We've seen it in action in UCS qualifiers over in LCK as well.
Demacia Cup, we
the
saw it as well.
Cup, very exciting new objective to play around. And against an Orianna mid, that gigantic lady can help take her tower down very effectively.
Yeah, I think that's the key part about Rift Herald, is the fact you can use it to get an early mid tower. Quick, too long, didn't read about Rift Herald. When you do get to activate it in the lane and it charges to a tower, typically you use it to get one objective.
Yeah.
You don't really get 2 or 3 towers very often. We will talk more about it if it actually gets taken down. Once again, as we talked about earlier, Wonder is around mid to try and force that flash from Feathervin, using that Jarvan mid game we keep highlighting.
And we want to see. Let's take a look at the items. Cobby's going for the Blade of the Ruined King, BF Sword for Nuclear, most likely going the Eye Edge as is standard, but mid lane, some changes to the Abyssal Scepter and Banshees. Naturally, as I start talking about it, Jankos decides to engage. Cocoon goes wide as Che is running for his life. Death Sentence didn't find a target. Trashy in the right place at the right time, looking at summoner spells, flashes down for both supports.
Yeah, Mickey and Cobby have been playing this laning phase extremely well. Even under pressure, they've responded correctly. Cobby's had a bit of a free laning phase and he's abused it. You know, getting early kills, CS advantage on this Varus as well. So this is really good for Splyce on the bottom side. And Trash is now with the team. They're in the river without a lot of vision.
Yeah, but
it's control what they're sitting. They don't actually know.
Oh, Splyce might be in trouble. Where's the death sentence from Che? Not going to fire it. Or it was fired a moment ago. Splyce playing a little risky there, with all the vision H2K had set up, but obviously Splyce get away unscathed.
Yeah, and obviously if you are Splyce, you also feel like you have to, like you want to keep forcing. Oh, nice dodge.
Flash Cocoon sidestep, but look at the trap. Trashy's now going to back away. Death sentence connects down onto Mickey. He's going down. Che with a kill for H2K.
Oops, that one
Cobby
missed.
and Trashy, they sidestep the barrel. Well, they didn't walk into it. Oh no, just with a little fan wave as he walks past, and bottom turret takes a lot of damage.
So we just praised Splyce bot lane, you know, and then suddenly H2K's bot lane makes a big play right there. Che with a beautiful sidestep on that flash cocoon from Trashy, and instantly turns it around against Mickey. Obviously has no flash from before.
So just a little bit of nerves as we start off the summer split, it feels. Some
good plays, and then
yes.
a few missteps as well.
And a few good steps. Che, of course, making sure he dodges those skill shots. First Tower Blade still available. Wonder Going to put down the Demacian standard and get this top to about 25%.
Yeah, sadly for Odoamne, the fact that he went down to the bottom lane with the TP means that now he lost a lot on the top side and he didn't get anything from his TP. So this is a beautiful sidestep from Che, and then he instantly turns it around because Mickey and Trashy need to walk out, but Mickey's no flash and there's really nowhere to go, and Hitbox 2017.
There we go. Here we go, Hitbox 2017.
There we go, yeah. So Odoamne walks down, misses ulti, obviously lost now a lot on the top side. His tower actually took quite a beating. H2K though with an early lane swap, this is what you do if you want to try and push in the tier 1 tower and then take Rift Herald. But you can see Splyce already matching it, saying we're fine with the 2v2, we want to keep playing 2v2.
Especially when they've won it. They're up on CS, they've got an item completed already. That's that Blade of the Ruined King. Senkux on his Orianna, first big item to match Febi's built-in Victor item.
He's on it, baby. Remember, guys, you can solo Rift Herald as a jungler. It's actually pretty damn easy. You can dodge the abilities like this one. When she charges into the wall as well, it's pretty easy. And you can actually step around because she's so slow. And then shoot her in the back. Yeah. Always shoot her in the eye, get that bonus damage. Splyce are not reacting because they were going, later to try and defend the top side. So they've kind of given up the river. And we get our first Rift Herald.
All right, but which lane does it get used in? That's the best question here. Unlock Orianna or push down Wonder?
In most situations, I want to see it mid lane. Because mid lane tower is the most important tower to take down. And also often the hardest. Febi, though, taking so much damage. And this actually stops H2K from walking straight in that lane and put it down.
And Deficio, Febiven without flash. That is exactly what Splyce wants.
Oh, Wonder, he's smelling it.
Open the window, all right? The window of opportunity is there.
So Febiven is a pie in the window?
He is indeed. And Wonder needs to come in, put a wall around that pie, and eat it to get fed.
You have a weird way of eating pies, but I'll take it. Yeah, in this case here, I think it makes a lot of sense. Wonder is already smelling the pie. He's near mid lane.
All right, let's see what Jankos can do. He's picked up the Rift Herald.
Jankos who's smelling in there. That's the wrong one.
There's a timer, of course, on how quickly you can use it. So Febiven and H2K need to respond. Splyce, however, they're pushing down.
He thought it was going to be Febiven sitting mid lane, and then it's Jankos with the Graves here, so he didn't go for it. Now Febi's returning to mid lane after Wonder's walked back down to bottom lane.
All right, so a decent play from H2K. Maybe getting a step ahead. This time Splyce going to react. Chain of Corruption is going to lock down Che. Teleport completes and Wonder is caught up by that Yordle Snap Trap. Tower First Blood picked up by Splyce. They were given First Blood. They were given Second Blood. They've got Tower, 3,000 gold lead. This is a great start for Splyce.
Yeah, and again, the fact that Senkux used that ulti on Febiven stopped H2K from rushing into mid, put down the Rift Herald and try and take that tower. It is still sitting there with Jankos. You can see down the bottom, a little purple eye. And we're still waiting for him to put it mid, because that is where you really want to place it.
Yeah, a long time to channel that one as well. H2K really have to set themselves up effectively. About a third of the time available has been burned through. And I got to give some praise here to Senkux. After what was, 5 or 6 mid lane bans,
yep.
He locks in that Orianna in phase 2. And he's had a great game, even on CS with Victor. And despite being under some pressure and losing flash early, it's Senkux that feels like he's in control of that lane.
Definitely true, but also kind of keep in mind that Wonder was roaming towards mid like multiple times. And it does, of course, play into Febiven's play. He has to be more passive, knowing this Jarvan is constantly missing. Now, Trashy getting caught.
Oh, that's unacceptable. Trashy's going to rappel up into the air. Wild Growth will buy some time. Here comes the Cataclysm. Now Wonder's forced to flash to safety. Chaos Storm will get countered by the Shockwave. Senkux with another. That barrel goes wide. And Splyce say, oh no, you're the water boy.
Senkux once again now. Jankos going down, had to use flash early, then dies right after to the Shockwave combo from the Orianna. The Rift Herald has still not been placed by H2K. Whenever they're trying to get near that mid lane, a fight breaks out and Splyce wins the fight.
Well, the Rift Herald is baiting H2K into Splyce's hands. They seem to have some great setups. Trashy's going to look to solo this dragon, and I was convinced Trashy was going down. But he had all of the support from Mickey and Senkux. Wild Growth, come on, protect. All right, and kept him to get out alive.
So still about a minute's time for Jankos here. At this point, you put it just anywhere. Again, the reason I keep talking about mid lane is just to break open that mid lane tier 1 so it goes into other lanes. Trashy getting caught at first, trying to get some vision near it, but entire Splyce is around, because we kept talking about Wonder roaming on Jarvan and looking for fights in the mid game, and that's what he's been doing. And then we just see a great ulti from Senkux once H2K stepped a little bit too far forward.
And Odoamne, his barrels just keep getting sidestepped. As we jump out of the replay, just
the first one just missed. This one, yes.
Brief update. Brief update. We do have a pause, obviously. Senkux, it is a mouse-related issue that we're investigating right now.
Wait, so he's been playing like that without a mouse?
That's what I was going to say.
That is impressive.
That is hella impressive.
Give that man a real mouse and let's see what he can do.
For the cooks on that Orianna. I want to go back about 5 minutes. I want to talk about some mid lane items. Morellonomicon and Sorcerer's Shoes on the side of Senkux. Lucy Boots and obviously the upgraded staff for Febby. Where do they go next? Because we highlighted the changes to Abyssal Scepter and Banshee's Veil. Remind everybody it's 7.10, not 7.11. So not the changes yet. But, you know, a change in priority, a change in build path, changing the way those items work has impacted build paths for mid laners.
Yeah, I think in a game like this where if you are the Orianna, the main magic damage on the other side is a Victor, and I don't think you need to be too scared of Victor as an Orianna, so I don't think you have to go Banshees at this point. It is nice, though, against like Gragas and Thresh. Champions have like this one ability to try and lock you down for an engage. I think Banshee then makes sense, but at the same time, if you're getting already, you know, pretty farmed on an Orianna with Morello completed, like, part of me just wants to see you go like Luden's Echo or Deathcap already. Just like stack as much AP as possible, because while Banshee is a great item, it does give you less AP than those other big large rod items.
Yeah, big ticket items, of course. More sort of offensive versus more utility, defensive in some ways. We do have a jump back into live, as that has been resolved.
He finally did it!
Lane Herald.
Let's go, baby!
Full charge? Where is Splyce? No teleport for Wonder. Flap those little wings and bang! The tower is down.
And that is all you needed from this Rift Herald, and now you can basically die and disappear, and we can see you again next game. Because teams really just care about getting at least one tower for it. And
it did feel less exciting than I was anticipating. That's my first Rift Herald that I've had the pleasure of shoutcasting to Fish.
Well, you also did see H2K. H2K placed it and just left it. Like, you're going to kill that tower. It's fine. We don't need to be around. Peace out.
What do they get instead, right? A lot of farm in the bottom lane.
And important to note, when they took the Rift Herald, they didn't actually trade it for anything. So they didn't sacrifice anything.
All right, Wonder's going to secure the flash from Odo with a very good cocoon. Cataclysm, rather. Trashy didn't fire the cocoon. I was looking for it. But again, every time Wonder uses that Cataclysm, somebody in H2K has to lose a flash.
And it's very true. We still want to see him get near the mid lane again to force Febby's flash another time. Febby had one of those games where he feels a lot of pressure on him from Trashy, from Wonder. Even Mickey has been around mid lane to say hello. And we've seen actually, while it's been a few kills, it's been a lot of setups for potential fights. And a lot of like close calls where, ooh, did manage to land the CC, didn't actually kill him. We also get the Luden's Echo on Senkux, as we talked about just before.
That's going to be the damage direction. So Luden's Echo going that way. It looks like Lichbane going to be picked up by Febby. He's got himself the Sheen and the Ether Wisp. Nuclear got the 2 attack speed daggers and the gauntlets. Seen a couple of different builds for Caitlyn's over in LCK, as well as the Infinity Edge first, which is becoming more and more standard.
Yeah, that's the one people agree on right now, because of course Infinity Edge costs 200 gold less. So it's actually even better now to just fully complete it. You don't get punished as much as in the past. And also works well with headshots from Caitlyn, very specifically. So it's definitely not a bad thing. And then, yeah, it's either like Hurricane or Rapid Fire Cannon or PD. Those are the 3 choices. I still think Hurricane is fantastic just to stack up the headshots faster. But PD is great if you are afraid of someone killing you, who dives right at you.
So like Jarvan?
Maybe a Jarvan.
Or Elise, etc.
Sure. Rapid Fire Cannon if you want that little bit extra range, again, against things that could potentially jump you. There are reasons to go for all 3 options.
And of course, it's really interesting to see which each individual AD carry decides to prioritize. We had some discussions around that exact itemization route from the LCK. It's going to be the Hurricane completed for Cobby. No real changes there. And looking across the rest of the map, no big surprises. Leandri's for Trashy, got a little bit more the damage route. Frozen Fist for Odoamne, and Wonder, obviously, it's a little bit piecemeal working his way up.
Yeah, I mean, the top lane change is something you will notice in solo queue and pro play as well. Things like Sunfire Cape, that normally, which is rushed every time, is no longer being built early unless you're playing Shen. Even then, you don't have to rush it. Simply because now it's just much worse against champions. Early on especially, but generally just a worse item for a lot of these tanks. And then going like Iceborne Gauntlet is your go-to armor pickup right now. Bot lane we might see a play. Wonder, TP is ready for him. Cobby has ulti as well.
All right, Wonder's starting to back away. Kobe
Ooh, everyone is coming.
needs to find the chain of corruption to lock
That's a
people
big
down.
one.
Teleport from Odoame. Chain of corruption only going to hold Che in place. The three-man Splyce is backing away. Wild Growth keeps Mickey up. Everybody dodges the barrel. Odo just cannot find anybody. Che gets another. Death sentence goes slightly wide as Kobe is dropped by Feathervid. The tower is the focus for H2K as they're forced to back out. Senkax and Trashy, they back up to save the tower.
Yeah, it looked really good for Splyce. We're just going in and pushing that tower, had TP ready, but the problem was Orianna had gone back to base. So Febiven could just run from mid to bottom lane. And suddenly all of H2K is showing up. Not enough members from Splyce to actually take the fight, and they had to just run away. And a little bit of miscommunication. When your mid laner goes back to base and you're trying to push the bot lane tower, they got punished for it.
They did indeed. 2 kills to H2K. Another one to Che. The first of the game, the first of summer for Febivid on his Victor. And unfortunate for Odo, what looked like a great barrel got dodged and dipped and ducked from.
He used it to force
Look,
Elise
it was a
Elise
great
repel.
zoning barrel, right? It actually did its job.
Yes,
it was very
it
good.
did.
It was an
It did.
outplay by Splyce, but it is a little comical when you see that a few times in the
Mid
same
lane,
game.
Trevor.
All right, flashed away from the cocoon. Still got cleanse available. The repel comes up as Trashy is going to drop back down. Ends up being a tower trade. Mid for bottom. Splyce will be happy with that because they lost their mid lane. Cataclysm goes down into Nuclear. With the lanterns available, Nuclear still holds on to his flash.
Yeah, Che is a man to look at in this game here. In the laning phase, landed some good hooks. Obviously, it wasn't him going down. It was Nuclear when they had those fights earlier on. But able to actually get some good engages after, and then, of course, Lantern versus the Jarvan ulti will be key for H2K. So this is the play now. If you look at the minimap, you can see Orianna running from base, and that's why this play from Splyce is just too risky to make. Because you actually allow H2K then to roam from mid and set up this 5-on-5 fight here. Febi is walking behind the lane, one-shotting the enemy AD carry, and stepping out. And H2K was at no point under pressure in this fight.
No teleport from Wonder either.
Because again, Orianna
back.
wasn't there.
Yeah.
So if he actually joined in, maybe he gets 1 kill, but he also dies right after. And then 3 guys are suddenly down from Splyce.
And that, of course, means Wonder will have his teleport. We're 25 minutes in to Fisher. Splyce got themselves a 2,000 gold lead. It's Hurricane second item for Nuclear. Yankos on your screen is busy taking on Cloud.
All right, glad to see that everything is staying the same in Europe from the Caitlyn players. Spend a lot of time trying to figure out all the different reasons for why you would go for the other Zeal items early in Korea. The pie is back in the window, Trevor. Febiven without a flash.
Problem is the window now moves a lot. Because there's quite a few towers
Very
down.
true.
There's other objectives to fight for.
There's a few guards around it as well to try and stop Wonder from getting close. But with TP ready, and the fact that Splyce can now push in at least one of the lanes on the top side, mid or top lane, should open up for deep ward that Wonder can use.
Let's see where the vision is. So far, H2K, it has felt like H2K's vision has been superior this game. Whenever I look at the minimap, it just looks like there's a lot more H2K wards, either around Dragon or in the river. Splyce, they're now trying to contest that, equal it out. Wonder very easily takes down the third tower, the last outer tower of the game.
Yeah, and this is an important part for top laners, which is something in pro play you see a lot. And it's not like super exciting or action-packed, but whoever gets to push first also gets to leave the lane first. So it was Oramne before, but now you can see how Wonder's pushed the lane all the way to tier 2 tower. So Oramne now has to defend, and this opens up for Wonder to now leave the top lane. It's his window. He can TP away, he can roam away, and Oramne has to then stay back and push his lane out. So that's how you constantly trade. Like, now it's my turn.
Yep.
But now I'm going to go back and defend. So it's your turn to roam. And that's what you got to call constantly with your team. So now Wonder is leaving. Oramne is calling, careful. Jarvan is missing. And then the rest of H2K is saying, we don't care because the enemy team recalls, stop talking to us. And then, you know, you have that kind of pro communication.
Fortunately for H2K, no threats elsewhere on the map. They themselves are doing a lot of shopping. But it was that kind of communication, that back and forth, that we've already seen punished this game already. We're getting close to the mid to late game. And this is actually very exciting because
he looks very excited.
We don't know how these teams are going to perform at this stage. Baron is still an objective that is going to be contested, and I'm terrified for H2K if they bundle around Baron with a Jarvan Ori that could dunk them.
That was a good safe statement before, though.
Oh, yes.
Baron will get contested in this game. Wonder and Oramne are trying to just play the game of like get a bit of damage on each other, but also
Good interrupt there.
always push the wave.
Odo doesn't get caught up by the Demacian standard. Cataclysm comes down, flashes out. Wonder pops the walls down, continues to chase. The flag, the drag, and will he brag? Odo Omne, body slams over. Wonder's going for the chase. 100 HP left, 1 HP's all that's needed. There we go, Wonder with the kill.
Oh, Domre just wanted to try and kill the wave here and then step away, but Wonder took the fight. Black Cleaver is ready, armor pin on his Q. He's ready to deal with the tanks, and huge once again for Splyce. The fact that Wonder gets the advantage, he gets to push, and now that threat against H2K is there.
Death Sentence connects. Wild Growth buys some time for Trashy. Not enough to save him from the Ignite. Ace in the hole. Tags Senkax. He's got no shockwave available. Splyce get an advantage in the bottom lane, only to kind of lose it in the top lane.
Yeah, they never really got to set up anything on the other side. And very nice pick off here from Che once again. He's actually also getting the kills on the Thresh, which of course is not great for H2K. Just getting a kill and stopping Splyce from setting up around Baron is of course a win.
All right, we'll see how the vision works out. Whether or not H2K, they're actually starting a teleport here. They're going for Baron.
Well, they are rushing it right now. Senkax spots it. The rest of the team coming from base. Wonder. TP's ready.
Cooks has got Shockwave available this time round. Baron's going low. The ball's not in the pit. Teleport finishes. H2K secure it. Wonder. Cataclysm's down. Not enough to pick up any kills. Piercing arrow from Cobby. Flies across H2K. And H2K, they sneak Baron.
I love the call. Ballsy call, but such a nice setup from H2K. I think actually this game we have seen Splyce win some of the individual duels, while H2K has had some better calls. Like as a team they've had better calls overall, like bot lane play before where they punished Splyce from pushing. Now this call here on Baron because Splyce had to kill bot lane earlier. They were supposed to get control of top side and then they could TP in and kill H2K if they were fighting, but because of Che hiding in that brush, making the pick on Trashy, it actually allowed H2K now to set up Baron. So the team calls have definitely been in favor of H2K this game, and that's why they're getting something like this. You know, Splyce just wanted to get full control with 5v4, but they blindly face check, no previous vision, didn't really push the mid lane either, and they die for it. And this is just a call from H2K.
Yeah, and very, very good Baron focus. H2K using the barrel to throw out Senkax. They get it. Clean, get themselves a kill and the teleport from Wonder.
Yeah. They basically knew that Splyce is completely resetting on back to base. So like, okay, let's rush it.
And Fisher, I'm very excited because third item's picked up. Phantom Dancer for Cobby. Obviously Rapid Fire Cannon for Nuclear. And a Goggles Stone Plate for Odo.
And this is one of my favorite items right now for tanks. Whenever you obviously get into a fight with 3+ enemies, you get 40 more armor and magic resist. So just on top of what you're already getting. And if you activate it in there, you actually double your HP when you're near more than 3 enemies, which is huge for a tank to dive in. You activate it, become massive, even grows in size. So there's going to be a big fat Gragas in the middle of the enemy team.
Yeah, let's see whether or not Odo Omne can use that to dissuade any further team fights. Splyce, they have to deal with a really, really tanky top laner right now. Fortunately, Cobby's got himself that Blade of the Rune King, but it's going to take a hell of a long time.
Yes.
To take down.
It's going to take a long time. Because when you actually take down the bonus HP he gets from the activation, well then obviously he's just going to, you still have to take the current HP he also has away. And yes, the Gragas will deal less damage during that time. I don't think Odo Omne cares.
I've never really thought of a Gragas in teamfights as the primary damage dealer.
Exactly.
You know?
So
he's disruptive.
It is okay you deal less damage for a period of time because you get so tanky. Let's see it in a fight though. I'm just picturing it already. Body slam, flash into multiple members, activated so he's just unkillable. Everyone is screaming for Omne, he's the hero, and then he misses ulti.
That's fine, because as the fight is wrapping up, we get the Lantern to safety because Che, who's 3-0-2, currently the hero, 100% kill participation.
Disappointed he didn't go AD Thresh.
You know what?
If you're getting 3 kills.
You know, AD items are so buffed on this patch right now, he totally could have done it.
I think he missed an opportunity
GA,
right there.
Come on, Che. You can pick it up. Get those empowered autos. Come back to life as well if you need to.
But he's never going to die.
You're going too far. Oh, touche.
He's the unkillable demon god. Oh, was that Faker?
Hey, dude, that's you. I'm not touching.
I'm just saying, Faker Che,
that
what's the
one
difference?
anymore. Well, H2K, they've already knocked over another dragon. They've taken down the bottom tower. This is what H2K wants to do. They've always wanted to play as a team, controlled, tempo-based, with them in the lead. And this is exactly what Prolly has tried to instill on every version of H2K for the last 2 years.
That's why part of Prolly backstage is super proud with some of the team calls they've made, and the other part of Prolly is kind of unhappy they gave away some early kills. Like Jankos, of course, dying in that base, in the enemy jungle. The fact they didn't get to use the Rift Hill early on when they could because February was obviously forced out of lane. A few different things, but overall I think H2K have shown some of that very nice shot calling that we are so used to.
Yeah, they're quintessential style, right? Playing the map, playing the objectives. Which I actually
think works with Splyce as well. At least they're trying to do exactly the same.
If we're doing a little bit of history, Splyce made their name last split for their late game, right? Their ability to come back from behind. Now, they had a lead this game. It was donated to them, a lot of it.
I'd say they also took a bit of it.
Of course they did. Of course they did. Took advantage of it, of course. But that Baron call after Trashy was caught, that's what's hurt them. Look at the minimap. H2K, they're going top. Splyce, however, shoving up middle very quickly.
And it's still just dead even in gold. So, as we said in Champ Select, like, this is going to be one of those games where scaling on both sides, there's a lot of things to like. And you're going to get these big explosive fights here. But I think Splyce will be in a bit of a disadvantage. Elise, obviously, is not as good of a late game pick as Graves on the side of Jankos. Also, you have to highlight the big tank Gragas in a team fight. It's much easier to have massive impact as a tank in a team fight than a Jarvan, where if people flash around out of your ulti or flash your combo specifically, you might not get someone down. But one is going for it.
Yeah, he's using that shield from the W to buy as much time as he can. Very, very lucky to get out with his life. Trashy takes the ace in the hole. No flashes expended on the side of Splyce. However, Jankos did use his up top.
And I want to mention Che here going Locket over Redemption. When you play against things like Jarvan or Orianna, it's very burst focused. So instead of going for Redemption, that of course has a cast time, he just wants the instant shield from Locket when he sees the engage from Wonder. Because that's really the thing, like, all Jarvan's damage is like, it takes 1 to 2 seconds, and he's done. It's very explosive, but he's done after that. And he gets a few, like, auto attacks on you, but you don't really care too much about that specifically if we compare it to the burst of EQ ulti from him. Same with Shockwave. So Chase basically saying, I want to just stop damage instantly and not have to wait a few seconds, because then someone might already be dead.
Yeah, he doesn't have time to wait for that redemption. Now, I remember in Picks and Bans, around 40 minutes ago, Deficio, you mentioned that these team comps, when they get to late game, we're going to have some explosive team comps, and that's because of the reasons you've just listed. All of the AoE from Splyce, a lot of the disruption and burst that's on the side of H2K. Victor Graves will definitely chunk someone down. And with Elder up and Baron in 30 seconds, which team do you see having the advantage in the impending team fights?
I just think Jankos on Graves will be impactful compared to the Elise. Like, for Trashy at this point, it's so much about just landing the one cocoon and then you've done your thing. Kobe tried to nail the Jankos with that.
Trading ultimates, Chain of Corruption for collateral damage. Sometimes it's the most dodged skill shot as much as it's the most missed.
Very true.
Chain of Corruption. You know?
Very, very true. It did actually mean that Splyce got access to the river after pushing this mid lane, because Fabian is pushing top. But it also means that Splyce can have to look at the top wave and be like, ooh, do we send someone up there to defend? Yeah. Wonder is sitting bot lane with TP, so no one is actually topside at the moment. Fabi and Che fighting for Riven. All they're doing is fighting for Vision, and they're going in with Che.
Flash Flay, repel from Trashy, buys a few seconds, but look at the barrel! Odo makes it count! Kobe and Mickey are knocked backwards. Kobe's still trying to back away. The redemption keeps him alive a few seconds longer, and Jankos goes way forward. The Lantern saves his life, only for Wonder to drop him down. Now Wonder's in the back end. Cataclysm and Flash is available. Odo low up front. He's being chased down by Senkax. It's a battle on two fronts as Wonder flashes for his life.
Odo very low at the moment, but still not dead. TP available as well. Senkax has a lot of damage at this point. He didn't go for that boring build with the Banshee. Just wanted full AP at this point. Odamna can go back though and actually get full HP, use the home guards with the TP if they're looking for another fight. Wonder gets stopped.
Oh, Wonder's in so much trouble. I misspoke earlier. It was a flag and drag over the wall. Now he uses the flash, flag and drag into a long-range headshot. Nuclear takes him down.
Yeah, greedy recall in that brush here without having any way to actually see if there is a ward on him. H2K just turned around and killed him, and this is why we've talked so much about H2K's late game comp with Odamne as the big tank who can have impact so easily. And of course, the scaling Graves, which actually didn't do that much in this fight specifically.
I just love
but it
this play
counts.
from Odo.
I mean, this is, force flashes, go straight in with the beautiful body slam, ulti as well from him, and Wonder at this point just completed TP, and the fight technically is already won by H2K and Jankos, as you can see here, diving into the back line.
And just also, right at the start, it was Che. Flash Flay gets 2-man, starts that whole thing off. Wonder's running for his life.
Good team fight from H2K, and a thing to follow during this split is late game team fighting from these guys. Can they coordinate the engages? Will the carries step up like Nuclear, a guy we kept talking about last week, being like, okay, soon he's gonna step up and he's gonna carry some of these late game fights. Good first fight from them here in the late game.
Elder Dragon easily secured by H2K, Deficio. Death Sentence and Barrel just used to dissuade Splyce from engaging. But H2K, they're in absolute control of the big objectives. If they want to set up around Baron, Splyce are going to be very careful with how they enter that area. There's no flashes on their side at all.
I think they have to just give it up. Like, you can't really fight without flashes against Elder Drake. At this point, you just have to almost surrender the Baron and then try and defend your own base. But it's obviously super difficult, and this is what happens when a team like H2K gets the chance to actually kind of out-macro you.
Yeah.
And they've been doing that now. Bot lane fight, Baron, second Baron, and that engaged mid just before.
Well, now all the buffs are with H2K. Elder and Baron, we talked a little bit about the history in Spring Split. H2K went 4-0 against Splyce. 2-0'd them both times they met. H2K are poised to make that 5-0 on the year, as it doesn't look like Splyce will be able to bounce back. Now, admittedly, one combo, one Cataclysm, one Shockwave against what are fairly squishy members on the side of H2K. That can turn around. That's what they have to do.
It needs to be against Febiven, the man who can't really get out of that Shockwave or ulti from a Jarvan. If Nuclear is fast, he can net backwards. Chase fast, maybe he can save his team, but it needs to again once again be the victor. And it's hard, when you see the instant engage, getting that lantern down in time, it can be difficult for Che, but it requires an all-in from Splyce. We kept highlighting how that composition late game, while it's good, it's not as good as the side of H2K, and we've seen that. It's been really hard for them to actually take late game fights.
Yeah, really, really difficult. Where is Che on the minimap? In the jungle, moving his way down towards Jankos, who is empowering and buffing those minions. Nuclear just keeps using that rapid fire cannon shot. Walks up, takes a shot on the turrets, and now H2K very quickly snap their focus to mid lane. They're going to chunk down this turret 50%, 60%, 80%. Tower's down. Splyce didn't find an opportunity to engage.
I think Splyce is just hoping they don't lose all three inhibs against this double buffed up H2K lineup. Mid inhib, obviously you can just rush it down if you're H2K, because you're actually fine taking a team fight.
Yeah, of course, use their collateral damage.
They should stay, they should just stay.
Just wave clearing. Elder Dragon still with them. Shockwave whiffs. That's a sombrero for the minions, and the inhibitor's fallen.
And it's hard to fault Senkooks for trying to make the big play that can save his team. But you need to coordinate that with your Jarvan engage. Febiven's flash is ready in just like 10 seconds, basically.
Oh, take a look at that. Death Sentence into Barrel. Chain of Corruption, though. That's slowly going to spread across H2K. Odo One is down. His gargoyle plate didn't even matter. The tower is the victim as H2K. They've broken the base, and they've backed away.
So mid inhib gone, top tower as well, opening up the top inhib. H2K controlling the game at the moment. Double Baron buff, one Elder Drake. Funny enough, actually, Elder Drakes in Europe are not as impactful as I see in other regions, because we don't take a lot of Drakes overall as a region. It's a lot about towers.
It's because you told them all to hate Cloud and Ocean.
Very true. Very true. What though in this one will go down.
I'm surprised at the fact that Kabu is still able to burn through him. And you look at the...
To be fair, he had
builds.
help from his entire team.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it was 5-on-1, right? But Kabu's 5 items, Phantom Dancer, Hurricane, Eye-Edge, Blade of the Rune King. We've got GA picked up for Wonder in the top lane. That has AD now, remember? Of course. Change in item build. It's still super weird to see, though.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of thing, when you cast and watch a lot of games, your brain needs time to kind of adjust to some of those changes. Like when I see Banshees on mid laners, I'm like, why are you rushing Banshees? And you're like, oh, wait a minute. Oh, yeah, of course. It's now basically the old Abyssal Scepter, but just with the Banshees active or Banshees passive.
Yep. And imagine how long it must take me to untrain my brain to Fisher
Yeah, but
if you're struggling with it.
You don't even have to say anything. You can just say, look at the items, and then I will talk about the items.
Okay, cool.
It doesn't actually matter for you.
Deficio, look at the Ardent Sensor for Mickey. Is that good?
Yes.
Thank you. As H2K continue to siege up, Super Minions slowly making their way to the mid lane. H2K, they've got no tower top. It's just really like League of Legends by the numbers now.
Yankees needs to join his team, though. They're in a numbers disadvantage right now.
H2K not really far enough forward to get punished. That trap line buying them time.
Fabi's flash is back up, so life sucks for Wonder. He's actually done a fine job being really proactive on this Jarvan, but whenever he got an advantage, his team lost something else. But he's going in, though.
Sentence for Wonder. The shockwave only catches on a one name, and Splyce are split. Trashy's down. Redemption comes out. The flash death sentence catches Wonder. His BF sword GA brings him back to life, only to get dropped where he stands. The base is destroyed, and H2K are running circles around Splyce. Cobby with a very, very forward flash. Takes down Feathervin to make a statement, but it doesn't matter to Fisho. The Nexus turrets are the focus, and H2K are looking at the base.
They're looking at the base, Trevor. I think they're going to get the base as well.
That's a safe assessment to Fisho as the second Nexus turret falls. H2K, smooth and clean finish. Take down Splyce.
Yeah, I think everything after like 15 minutes for H2K looked very good in this game here. Great reaction to some of the plays from Splyce. Much better, I should highlight, vision control as well, which was part of why they could get some of these picks with Che here. Even when they lost Odamna in the bottom lane, they get that pick near the Baron. It is new behind the scene right now, so the players are getting used to it.
Yep.
There's actually less room when you walk by, so if there's a cameraman in front of you, there's a high chance you walk into the cameraman.
Look how much room there is in the team talk area.
Even H2K logo behind
Look at Yankos. He's loving it right now. Big smile on his face.
He's also a little bit of a naughty boy. He built Blade the Rune King in the
end. The reason, yeah, we've been ganked by Nocturne. The reason he's grinning like that is because what you couldn't see off screen was Prolly saying, what was that first blood?
He's like, I got the small wolf.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
look, that was about as H2K as you can get.
Yes.
You know, it was about the map. It was about the objectives.
One small change: the late game engages were actually very good from H2K in this game. Yeah, that's something we need to praise them for.
We do indeed, and that means they're good at late game team fights. To Fisher.
Confirmed.
H2K have struck first in the series against Splyce. Let's hear from our analysts what they think about game one.
Thank you very much, Trevor. And indeed, a very H2K game as we moved a bit further into the game. But early on, it was Splyce that struck us as being very much on the same page when it comes to those early skirmishes and early movements.
I very much enjoyed watching Splyce in this early game. They seemed so coordinated. Their communication seemed on point. And individually, they're outperforming H2K. Let's start off by looking at some of this fantastic playstyle that we did see from Cobby and Mickey down in the bottom lane, because these guys, they were performing out of their mind. The fact that, just keep your eyes on what Mickey does here, right? The fact that he roots onto Nuclear prevents him from being able to take the Lantern, allowing them to get themselves a 2 versus 2 kill and start the advantages in the early game going in the favor of Splyce.
Yeah, that polymorph can be the difference maker in those bot lane fights. And again, there were a few more moments that we started to see Splyce looking coordinated, playing defensively against the Rift Herald, catching a couple of fights. One of them we wanted to look at was a player that struggled a little bit in the spring was Senkux, but in the early game really found his footing here. And yeah, okay, H2K maybe walking back into the Orianna ball isn't exactly the best thing for them to do. They're trying to get in position to get the Rift Herald buff down, but H2K playing into Splyce's hands once again in the early game at least made this game a lot closer for H2K than perhaps the end of the game would tell you.
Yeah, that it did, and also the comp of Splyce, obviously, it was much more effective early on, where you could still kind of 100 to 0 those targets if you catch them out. But as the game progressed, we did see H2K coming up with answers. They took the first Rift Herald here in the very first game. However, they did not manage to... I mean, that's the question, right? They used it right as it was going to expire, the relic, at least, to push down mid, which I think they would have gotten anyway. Would there have been another way for them to use it, or the fact that you get a tower is all you needed for anyway?
So I think there are two elements to look at here. Number one, we have to praise, once again, Splyce and their ability to buy time, which made it difficult for H2K to properly set up for the Rift Herald. The fact that Senkux was able to solo force the flash out of Febiven meant that there's no longer any mid lane pressure, which stores a lot of time. But also, when trying to use the Rift Herald, you want to make sure that you either have a good siege with a bunch of your teammates behind you, but along with a big minion wave to help support the siege. But you also want pressure on the side lanes. And the one thing is, if you lose that pressure, if you cannot properly set up, then the Rift Herald will just get killed instantly. We even saw Senkox, how easy it was for him to just solo kill that big purple, I don't know, mushroom thing down. Princess, sure, let's go with that. But the fact that it can actually be very easily be killed means that you need a good setup. And Splyce did a good job of delaying H2K from finding that proper setup.
And they did a good job at so many times in the game. Wonder getting kills in the bottom lane, 1v1ing Odoamne down. You know, they're hungry for more competition, as you see Senkox and the rest of Splyce on the screen preparing. But the one turning point was after they get the kill bot lane, Trashy and the rest of Splyce trying to control the Baron area, but face-checking into 4 members of H2K is devastating. You already have this whole setup won, but you just have to play this out carefully, and Splyce forced back away from the Baron. It would result in H2K having a Baron attempt to themselves that Splyce couldn't quite hang on to.
Because we talked a lot about the individual performances from Splyce, but this is the teamwork that we've been seeing from H2K. The fact that they know Splyce, they're going back to base, we have a teleport advantage, we know we have vision control around the Baron, so we feel confident that we can go for this play, and they all do it together. And that's the thing that I think we are still seeing from the H2K of Spring Split, the fact that they do have that mid to late game coordination, and they do know how to play the map.
Senkox was looking for one of those Hail Mary shockwaves.
I thought he would go for it.
I thought so. He took one step too far away from the pit, and the ball snapped back onto him. So he had to move forward, try and Q auto, and it was late. They were looking for it, but Splyce just couldn't contest that first Baron.
No, and that's when we really saw the game also tilting in the favor of H2K. And as you say, they know how to clear things out or end games like that. We're going to put another fight up on the screen. And we do have to highlight, I know you're talking about the team, but Che had a really good game on that.
Oh, he really did. Che has been playing fantastically this game. And
as he misses a hook, by the way.
As he misses his hook, but coming into this play, this was something that we really wanted to highlight as well, the fact that Splyce, while they did look great in the early game, often as the game progressed, they just didn't seem to know what the best decision was in the mid-game, and that's where H2K really were able to find a lot of these opportunities, because they had full control in terms of their vision across the map at all points in time. And while Splyce was scrambling around looking for opportunities, H2K were primed and ready, and they capitalized on every small window that they saw that they could get through.
And this is one thing we didn't touch on too much, was the compositions. I feel like the Javan composition can be very strong when you're the aggressive team. You're catching out the victor, but as soon as you have to play and try and get this awkward flank from a position where not everybody's ready or the TP is late, the Gragas is way more consistent, whether it's the ult to disengage, engage again. Splyce just weren't playing active enough, as you're talking about, to really get this composition 100% reliably working for them.
Yeah, and I also want to look towards game 2 and then think of the fact that it does feel like that getting picked off around Baron and allowing H2K to get the Baron, they were still even and they could have done better, but the 4,000 Baron power play for H2K completely threw that game around. So from the side of Splyce, do you feel like if they just look at that and say, well, obviously don't get caught there and trying to set up your vision, will we see a different game going into game 2, and can we see Splyce kind of patching up those errors?
I would just like to see Splyce basically not lose composure come the mid-game, because they tried to make this bot lane play going for the tower. It didn't work out, and then after that, they just seemed to scramble. They didn't really have a clear idea of what the next path was, and I feel like as a team, they're better than that, and this first game should give them a quick identification. Okay, our communication broke down. If we fall behind, let's clean it back up again. Now for H2K, individually, they need to step up. Yanko should not be solo dying in the enemy jungle. People should not be getting caught out of position. You shouldn't be dying 2 versus 2 when you're playing a Caitlyn, right? Like, these sort of individual plays, H2K need to respect their opponents a little bit more.
I think we'll see a Thresh ban coming out from Splyce. That might make a few of those early skirmishes go a little better for them. But I'm excited to see now with the second draft of the split, now what we get to see, whether one of the champions banned out. Because there was the Aurelion Sol, the Kassadin that were banned by H2K. One of them might get through. Who knows? Senkox might get his hands on something he prefers in mid.
Yeah, let's see what happens. H2K, they are looking for their first win of the summer split. We'll see if they can get it on the board when we return.
Yankos is in trouble. No support from the mid lane. First blood picked up by Trashy. Wonder's forced to flash to safety. Chaos Storm will get countered by the Shockwave. Senkooks with another. Wild Growth keeps Mickey up. Everybody dodges the barrel. Odo just cannot find anybody. Trey gets another.
You guys can stay for turret. Good job.
From Trashy buys a few seconds, but look at the barrel. Odo makes it count. Kobe and Mickey are knocked backwards. Kobe's still trying to back away. The redemption keeps him alive a few seconds longer. And Yankos goes way forward. H2K. Smooth and clean finish. Take down Splyce.